Look at that, it's June already. I'm going to have a birthday this month. And I'm happy about it because it means that I'm getting older, and the older I get, the sooner I get to shove off the mortal coil. Kind of, maybe some people find that a strange thing to say, but I just honestly, I've struggled with depression for a good portion of my life. And so I tend to look on the dark side of things. But I did do something this weekend that I don't normally like to do, and that is engage on Facebook with random people. A lot of times, I just often ignore or delete people that try to start shit with me because I just don't have the patience for it. But this weekend, or this past weekend, I have to admit, I succumbed to temptation. Brian Tyler Cohen shared this on Facebook. It was about Iowa Republican Joni Ernst, who a few days ago was in a town hall and was talking about Medicaid cuts. And one of her constituents yelled out, "People are going to die." To which Ms. Ernst replied, "We're all going to die." And that is true. We are all going to die. It seems a strange thing to be saying, though, if you are an elected official charged with making policies that are supposed to make life better for others. I don't know why she is in that position. I don't know why she was voted into that position, what motivated her to run, but I don't think she cares about people. That's just my take. But anyway, like a lot of people, I was a bit flabbergasted by that comment. And so I wrote, "Meanwhile, we're being forced to birth." And it's true, we are. I was watching this morning. As you might know, I'm technically a Texas voter, but I don't live in Texas right now. And in Texas, there was a woman who apparently tried to give herself an abortion for some reason. And Texas cops were scanning like thousands and thousands of license plates across the nation in an attempt to track her down. And when they were questioned about it, they said that it was because her family was worried she was going to bleed to death and they wanted to get her to a hospital. However, I'm pretty certain that if they had tracked her down and gotten her to a hospital, she might have gotten some medical care and then they would have put her in handcuffs. Because, as we all know, right now in Texas, women don't have the right to choose whether or not they want to give birth. It's pretty much outlawed now to have an abortion. So, that was kind of what I was referring to, but I didn't actually mention abortion. Of course, I got a bunch of comments from people, 99% of whom were men, I'm pretty certain. Some of them saying really vile, disgusting things to me, calling me names. Somebody called me a douchebag, which I thought was rather funny, but I just blocked that guy. But then I got a comment from a guy named Phil. Now, Phil was not a mental giant, and I think he caught me in kind of a lighthearted mood, really, because I was enjoying a girl drink with Bill. He made me a grasshopper. Hadn't had one in a long time. And so Phil had responded to me and he said, "It's better than murdering your own baby." To which I said, "Abortion isn't murder, Phil. It isn't. In some cases, it's self-defense, if you were going to apply that." So other people were taking him on, and I thought I'd heard the end of Phil, but no, I woke up this morning, and the mental giant wrote this. Well, there's a baby a living human being. Let me start this again. Well, there is a baby, a living human being, and the next thing, there's nothing pretty much tells me it's murder. Someone kills a pregnant woman, I'm reading this as he wrote it, in a DUI crash, they are being charged to X, I guess 2 times. So if I'm going to like interpret this mental giant's crap to me, he's saying that there's a baby and then there's nothing. And that means it's murder. I understood what he was trying to say, okay? But my response, I have to admit, was a bit profane because I had just woken up to it. And I often wake up to these kinds of comments. And it's before I've had my coffee and before I've taken a big crap, I read these things. And so what I said to him was, STFU. Pregnancy is something that will never personally affect you. You are using a ridiculous, manipulative, hyperbolic term to try to appeal to my emotions, and it's not working. I will always be more concerned about already born people than I will the unborn. If you really cared about unborn babies, you would advocate for policies that would help them and their parents live safe, healthy, happy lives. Instead, you are picking fights and arguing with perfect strangers on the internet, accusing women of murder who want or need to end a pregnancy for reasons that are none of your business. Fuck you. Now, friends, I've never had an abortion. I've never been pregnant. I have had one partner in my life, and that's my husband. And he had daughters with his ex-wife. She convinced him to get snipped. He got it reversed. We were not able to have a pregnancy. I was not able to get pregnant after that, in spite of it being supposedly successful. And at the time I was sad about it, but now I'm kind of relieved. I did want to have children, but I don't think I would want a child in today's world, especially a girl. So, and maybe some other people are happy that I didn't reproduce either, because there are, apparently a lot of haters out there who feel like they should just say whatever they want. And then you have elected officials like Joni Ernst basically saying, let them eat cake and we're all going to die, so fuck you. We're going to cut your aid. It's not a very pleasant world right now, so I might as well just enjoy what time I have left. And there were other comments as well. This one guy said, his name was Dennis, and he wrote, "Tell the unborn babies too, not just the live ones." So I'm not really sure what that was in reference to, because my original comment was, meanwhile, we're being forced to give birth, or something along those lines. So I'm not really sure why he made that comment to me, but my response to him was, I can't do that. It's neither physiologically nor physically possible to tell the unborn anything. I can't tell an unborn developing fetus or embryo anything. So, yeah, I don't. But then I was rather proud of this last comment that I made. A guy named Jason wrote, "Nobody's forcing you to birth shit." And so I was going to say, just go play in traffic. But instead I said, I just birthed a gigantic shit in the toilet bowl and named it after you. Congratulations. Of course, I did have to flush it. So the turd named Jason is probably now floating in a waste treatment center somewhere in Germany with a bunch of other turds. But, at least I had enough respect to give it a name, right? And Jason should be proud because he inspired me. Anyway, I don't really, abortion has never affected me personally. I've never needed one. I will never need one. I don't think that I would have opted to have one, but you can't really say what you would do in your circumstance. I am a strong believer that sometimes it is the best decision to make. There are worse things than not being born. And a lot of times it needs to be done for very private, tragic medical reasons that I shouldn't have to explain to anybody else. And that includes the person who fertilized my eggs. So, that's just how I feel about it. Fortunately, it doesn't affect me personally. And I always had a choice, and I will always advocate for choice. And I'm sorry, guys, when it comes to having babies, it isn't a 50-50 proposition. When the baby is born, yes, I do think that men and women, that is a 50-50 thing. But not when it's pregnancy, because it isn't your life, it isn't your health, it isn't your medical bills. You aren't the one being awakened at 2 or 3 in the morning with a developing fetus dancing on your bladder or making your blood pressure spike or anything like that. I personally don't like it. I find it kind of disgusting, to be honest, abortion. But I think it is a necessary thing, and I think it's a private decision, and it's nobody else's business. That is how I feel. Of course, based on what we're seeing in the government right now, what I feel and a nickel will get you nowhere because they don't care what the voters think. And clearly, Joni Ernst, who after she got backlash for making that comment that was so callous and so revelatory of her character, or lack thereof, then made an apology video that was just absolutely snarky and rude and sarcastic and kind of troubling because she clearly feels very secure in her job. And there's a word that I would use for her that I don't like to use, especially for other women, and you can probably guess what it is, but I'm not going to say it now. So, with that said, I hope you have a good Monday. We'll see you next video. Perhaps later today I will record a nice, pleasant song. I don't think there'll be a parody today, but there may be a song, and it may be a pretty one, so have a good day.